I thought The Matrix kinda sucked. Matrix Resurrection is a weird movie to talk about due to the meta-narrative that's subtly woven throughout the story, a narrative that's so hard to understand that you need a high IQ, a galaxy brain even, to even comprehend what the movie's trying to tell you. Despite that, I think the movie sucks. Yet there's this huge wave on Twitter shitting on people who didn't like the movie, acting like it's a us versus them. So just know that I will never compromise on my views. If I think something sucks, I will die on that hill every single time. What are you gonna do? Dislike the video? Huh? Do it. See what happens. I wasn't actually sure how they would make a new Matrix movie. Considering Neo in the last movie died for our sins to save the human race from the machines of the Matrix, it was hard for me to guess where you would go from there, but the Wachowskis have found a way. So we start off the new movie following a new group of characters trying to find the moment where Trinity died fighting Mr. Smith in the second movie. At least I think that's the scene that they're looking for, whereas she got shot in the heart. Unable to find that specific scene, they determine that the Matrix has been tampered with and have to escape before the agents get to them. The blonde woman tries to fight her way out until she's saved by a black agent, or at least I assumed he was a black agent. It's kind of up in the air on what's what. You know, Mr. Smith was stopped in the last movie, but there are clearly agents here. Are they all the same agent? Is this Mr. Smith but diverse? Are they all different people working on the machines? What is happening? But this is the scene where we find out that Neo is still alive, and they need to find him once again to save the day, despite the day having already been saved in the last movie. Oh yeah, and this is Morpheus, or this movie's Morpheus. Cut forward a bit and we see Neo in his office. He's a game developer now working on a game called The Matrix. This was honestly one of the better parts of the movie for me. See, it's at this point that I start to speculate that Neo gave his life to save everyone in the third movie, and after, again, dying for our sins, he was reincarnated with vague memories of his past life. And due to that, developed video games based on what he just assumed to be random thoughts or dreams. And that's what made this so interesting. It follows a broken and traumatized character trying to cope with all of the actions from the last three movies, but unsure if any of that was actually real. It follows a character who feels like something is missing, a character who can no longer discern reality from fiction. All of this even get it to the point where Neo attempts to take his own life because he just can't deal with the delusions anymore. When Morpheus and the blonde woman breaks into Neo's job to make him escape, you genuinely have to ask yourself, is this real? Due to Neo being an unreliable narrator, you can't believe anything that he sees or says. And while this part was a bit slow for me, it was honestly the most interesting part of the movie. The part that gets you hooked and keeps you guessing what is and isn't real. But, alas, that doesn't last forever. Because it is revealed that Neo was in the Matrix all along. And that's when the movie gets really fucking stupid and bad. Now that Neo's escaped the Matrix, again, his new mission is to get his mojo back and save Trinity, who is also re-trapped in the Matrix. We have the trainer arc with Neo and Morpheus spar as a homage to the first movie, and Neo proves that he still got it. There may or may not be a jailbreak scene immediately after this, I don't particularly remember, but it's not really important. What is important is what the hell is happening. And what is happening is that Neo kinda failed. While we thought Neo gave his life to save everyone from the Matrix, what he actually did was, give the machines their own independence, which led to some machines choosing to side with the humans, and some machines choosing to keep the Matrix running and use the humans as energy. But due to all the humans being freed, there's less energy to go around, so that machines who wanted to keep humans enslaved started fighting over the resources until one machine agent program, Barney, from How I Met Your Mother, came up with a bright idea that he could use the one, the almighty, Neo and his magical powers to fuel everything. I mean, the dude could fly and rewrite agents, so there's no doubt in my mind that Neo couldn't power this whole thing. So Barney, at the end of The Matrix 3, heals up Neo's body, sticks him back in the Matrix, and waits for the magic to happen. But there's an issue. Neo, as it turns out, isn't special. See, Neo was never actually the one. All that stuff he did in the second and third movie wasn't because of him, but because of him and Trinity. See, together, their love creates all the cool shit we saw. Never mind the fact that Neo did all of that without Trinity being there, but now they are stronger together. And whenever they touch hands, get this, when this scene was about to happen, I just knew what they were going to do, and I was like, please God, don't do this. It's going to be so fucking lame. When they finally come together and they touch hands, they have the power to push everyone away from them. That's it. In fact, for the most part, the Matrix power has just been reduced to the Force, basically just force pushing people away. Neo just uses his power to push some rockets, he pushes a car. So Neo's powers have been retconned to hell and back and have been replaced with this new power of friendship and love. The fight scenes don't have the same impact that they did in the older movies. You know, the force pushes aside. The fight choreography just doesn't feel that good. It lacks impact. It sometimes just doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, we have scenes where, like, Neo will fight an agent, they play the game where, oh, I'm stronger than you, I realize what I need to do. Then he overpowers the agent, then the agent's like, oh, silly Mr. Anderson, then he overpowers Neo, then Neo's like, actually, I don't want my friends to die, so he overpowers the agent, Neo, and I'm like, what is happening? Who's winning? The story makes absolutely no sense. The reason why they kept the only character strong enough to stop all of this, oh, I'm sorry. The only two characters strong enough to stop this, while together, is because of money. Barney gets paid a shit ton of money if he keeps him hooked up to the Matrix, and Neo actually didn't save the Matrix, but this time he's actually going to save the Matrix. Again, this time he's going to do it. But I think the worst part for me is the change in character writing. In my opinion, the Matrix had iconic character designs and writing. Characters you will remember for the rest of your life. From the all-black leather, skin tights, trench coats, and shades, to just how they spoke. Every character just oozed badass. Every character was cool. You wanted to be them. You looked up to them just because there was nothing cooler than being Neo. Nothing cooler than being Morpheus or Trinity. But on top of their demeanor and aesthetic, they also had their own moments to ground and humanize them. Yeah, you know, they were the best things since sliced bread, but they were still people who struggled and gave their life to fight for a better tomorrow. Yet these characters are just different. It's not that I don't like them per se, it's just that I don't really care for them. I don't really want to remember them, or I don't really want to remember much of this movie regardless, but the main Blondie is fine and she gets most of the action and cool scenes, but the way they're written, the way they behave, just doesn't align with what I want to see in a Matrix movie. It's almost like if you jacked in some random from Twitter into the Matrix. I mean, like literally one of the characters is a Neo lore fanboy. This is not my Matrix. My Matrix has groundbreaking and genre-defining fight scenes, the most badass characters you will ever see, and fucking orgies. Where are the orgies, Resurrection? This shit is garbage. And I genuinely do not understand what people liked about this movie. But the hardest part about discussing the quality of the movie is the meta-narrative within it. Yes, I understand what the movie is about. It literally beats you over the head with it. It's literally in every single line of dialogue in the entire movie. None of this is hard to understand. But the story of the movie and verse, meaning self-contained within the movie, doesn't make sense as a follow to The Matrix 3. And that's because the story isn't a follow-up to The Matrix 3. The story of The Matrix Resurrection is a story of a business corporation who wants money and will do anything that it wants to get it. It will use any IP or any product at its disposal regardless of what the artist or creator desires. And if the creators don't want to be a part of it, then they will just be replaced with someone who will. So in some way, you could almost say that this movie is a giant middle finger to Warner Brothers for forcing them to make a fourth one. You can say that every decision and story beat was the director not caring due to the position that the company put them in. And while I can see that, I still have to ask myself, does that make the movie good? Does that make it better? Does that make this movie worth my time watching it? And honestly, it doesn't for me. It sucks that they were put in this position, but that doesn't excuse the time I put into watching this. That doesn't excuse the people who had to pay to see this movie. I'm all for telling big corporations to, go fuck themselves, but this is a product that people have paid for that is a direct downgrade from the previous movies with worse fight scenes and a story that almost has nothing to do with The Matrix. With writing that almost has nothing to do with The Matrix. Because the real story of Resurrection is a message to Warner Brothers and the viewers of how a company overrun with greed will stomp out creativity until there's nothing left. And I assume this is the Wachowskis' way of getting back at them. But personally, that doesn't make The Matrix Resurrection a good movie. That just makes a bad company and a bad product. So, for some reason, this movie seems pretty divisive. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what people like about it. I'm not sure why people are kind of dogging on people for saying it's a bad movie. But, what did you think of The Matrix? Did you like it despite how it is? Or did those parts make the movie better for you? Does the fact that the director was forced to make this movie or have their movie sacrificed to someone else excuse the way the movie is, or does that make it better for you? Let me know in the comment section down below, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like and sub to my channel, and peace. Thanks for watching.